Beneath the scorching Egyptian sun, the golden temples blazed with fire. The Nile wound through the empire like a ribbon of silver, and Pharaoh's voice thundered across the land as absolute law. His shadow fell heavy upon the sons and daughters of Israel, a people crushed beneath the burden of slavery. For generations they cried out. For generations the heavens seemed silent. But the God of Abraham never forgets his promises. And in the midst of a nation's terror, hope arrived in the form of a newborn child. A child destined to stand against kings, to command the seas, and to carry the voice of the Almighty himself. He would be concealed in woven reeds, nurtured in royal halls, banished to desert sands, and summoned by flames that would not consume. Staff gripped firmly in his hand, he confronted Pharaoh face to face. The river ran crimson with blood. The land of Egypt trembled beneath the judgments of the living God. Then, at the water's edge, when despair seemed certain, God carved a pathway where none existed. The sea rose like fortress walls, and his people marched through on ground baked dry. Upon the mountain, wreathed in fire and smoke, he encountered the Lord. He accepted the sacred covenant, and his countenance radiated with divine glory. His name was Moses, a deliverer handpicked by God, a prophet who conversed with the Almighty as one speaks to a friend. Through him, God demonstrated his power, established his covenant, and unveiled his glory. The era of Joseph had faded into distant memory. A new Pharaoh claimed Egypt as throne, a ruler who remembered nothing of the Hebrew who had rescued his kingdom from starvation. But one truth gripped his heart with icy fingers. The children of Israel had multiplied, too many for comfort. Fear infected his thoughts like poison. Should conflict arise, he reasoned, they might align with our adversaries, wage war against us, and depart from our territory. And so iron shackles were hammered into existence. Israel became forced labor, constructing Pharaoh's treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses, one brick at a time beneath the merciless sun. The crack of whips filled the air. Sweat poured like rivers. Hope withered like grass in drought. Yet the more they suffered, the greater their numbers grew, and as they multiplied, Egypt's fear deepened into paranoia. Their existence became bitter with brutal servitude. Every dawn brought agony. Every dusk brought sighs of exhaustion. Then Pharaoh summoned the Hebrew midwives, Shiphrah and Puah. His command was cold and calculated. When you assist Hebrew women during childbirth, observe carefully. If the infant is male, end his life. If female, permit her to live. But these midwives feared God above all earthly authority. They refused to execute the king's wicked decree. They preserved the sons. When Pharaoh discovered their disobedience, he demanded answers. Why have you defied my orders? Why have you allowed these boys to survive? The midwives replied with wisdom. Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are strong and vigorous, delivering their children before we even arrive. The Lord honored their courage. God blessed the midwives with families of their own, a legacy of honor in a land drowning in cruelty. But Pharaoh's rage hardened into steel. His proclamation fell like an executioner's blade upon every household. Every Hebrew son born must be cast into the Nile. Every daughter may live. A river meant to sustain life would now flow with innocent death. Yet even beneath the shadow of Pharaoh's murderous decree, God was orchestrating deliverance. A son was born to parents from the tribe of Levi, a child beautiful in their eyes, but infinitely more precious in heaven's sight. For 3 months they concealed him, their home filled with muffled cries and whispered prayers. When hiding became impossible, his mother wove a basket from papyrus reeds, sealed it with tar and pitch, and placed her precious baby upon the waters. The Nile carried him forward, not toward death, but toward destiny. The basket drifted among the reeds, rocking gently with the current. Then, along the riverbank came Pharaoh's daughter with her attendants. She noticed the basket. She commanded her servant to retrieve it. When she opened it, the child was weeping. Her heart melted. "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she whispered. But unseen among the reeds, another set of eyes had been watching. The child's sister, Miriam. She stepped forward boldly, her voice calm and steady. "Shall I summon one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" The princess agreed, and so the child was carried back, not to a stranger, but to the arms of his own mother. By Pharaoh's own command, she would nurse her son, raise him in those precious early years, and whisper into his heart the truth of his identity. When the boy grew older, his mother brought him to Pharaoh's daughter. She adopted him as her own and gave him a name that would echo through eternity: Moses, meaning, "I drew him out of the water." From the mud of the Nile to the marble corridors of Pharaoh's palace, Moses matured. He walked among Egypt's nobility, mastered their language, studied their wisdom. Yet the blood coursing through his veins carried the cries of an enslaved people. Though adorned in gold, his soul belonged to God. Years passed like desert sand through an hourglass. Moses walked the royal courts, but his gaze often wandered beyond the palace gates to the fields where his people labored beneath the lash. One day, he witnessed something that shattered his composure: an Egyptian taskmaster savagely beating a Hebrew slave. Blow after merciless blow. The man's anguished cries ascending to heaven. Something inside Moses erupted. He glanced left, then right. No witnesses. His hand struck swift and fatal. The Egyptian collapsed, lifeless in the sand. Moses buried him quickly, praying the desert would conceal his actions. But the next day, he discovered two Hebrews fighting each other. "Why are you striking your fellow Hebrew?" he asked. The man's response cut like a dagger. "Who appointed you as ruler and judge over us? Are you planning to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" The truth had spread like wildfire. Pharaoh heard and sought Moses' life. Moses fled, abandoning the marble halls, the golden crowns, the Nile's waters. He crossed into the wilderness, into exile, into obscurity. Days melted into weeks. Hunger gnawed at his stomach. Thirst burned his throat. In the land of Midian, Moses found a well, and there he found trouble. Shepherds were harassing the daughters of a local priest. He rose to defend them, driving the aggressors away and drawing water for their flocks. In gratitude, their father Reuel, also called Jethro, welcomed Moses into his home. Moses would marry one of his daughters, Zipporah, and tend flocks in the quiet hills. 40 years passed. The prince of Egypt was now a shepherd in exile. His hands no longer held a scepter, but a staff. Yet heaven was not finished with him. The sun descended over the wilderness of Horeb. Moses walked slowly, staff in hand, decades of dust clinging to his sandals. The flock grazed peacefully. Nothing about this day seemed extraordinary. Then he saw it, a bush ablaze with flames that leaped and danced, yet the branches did not burn. Moses drew closer, eyes fixed in wonder. "I must go over and investigate this strange sight. Why doesn't the bush burn up?" But as he stepped forward, a voice thundered from within the fire. "Moses! Moses!" He froze. "Here I am," he answered, trembling. "Do not come any closer. Remove your sandals, for the place where you stand is holy ground." Trembling, Moses removed his sandals. The desert sand beneath his feet had become sacred territory. "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." Moses hid his face, terrified to look upon God. "I have surely seen the affliction of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cry. I have come down to deliver them. So now, go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." Moses' voice shook with doubt. "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" The answer came firm and steadfast. "I will be with you." Moses' uncertainty spilled out like water from a broken jar. What if they ask who sent me? God replied with authority, I am who I am. Tell them I am has sent you. Go assemble the elders of Israel and say to them, The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, appeared to me and said, I have watched over you and seen what has been done to you in Egypt. I have promised to bring you out of your misery into a land flowing with milk and honey. Moses stared at the flames, his voice still trembling. What if they don't believe me or listen to me? What if they say, The Lord did not appear to you? The Lord answered, What is that in your hand? Moses looked down. A staff. Throw it on the ground. He cast it down. The staff struck the dust and instantly writhed and twisted, a living serpent coiling in the sand. Moses leapt back in terror. Reach out your hand and take it by the tail. Moses hesitated, hand trembling, then grasped it. In an instant it became a staff again in his grip. Put your hand inside your cloak. Moses obeyed. When he drew it out, his hand was white as snow, diseased, leprous, decayed before his very eyes. He gasped, recoiling in horror. Now, put it back. He obeyed again. When he pulled it free, the flesh was restored, whole as before. If they do not believe after the first sign, they may believe the second. But if they do not, take water from the Nile, pour it on the ground, and it will become blood upon the dry land. But Moses hesitated once more. Pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent. I am slow of speech and tongue. How could a shepherd stand before a king? How could stammering lips deliver a nation? The Lord answered with patience. Who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Who gives them sight or makes them blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will help you speak, and will teach you what to say. But Moses pleaded one final time. Please send someone else. Then the Lord's anger burned, yet his mercy did not fail. Your brother Aaron will be your spokesman. I will help both of you speak, and will teach you what to do. So it was settled. The shepherd of Midian with staff in hand would not journey alone. Moses set his face toward Egypt. The years in Midian had transformed him. He was no longer a prince, no longer a fugitive, but a shepherd carrying the staff of God. Egypt had changed too. The Pharaoh who sought his life was dead, but a new king now reigned, a king with no memory of Moses, no mercy for Israel, and no reason to hear his voice. As Moses journeyed back with his wife and children, night fell heavily upon the desert road. They stopped to camp, and there the unseen hand of God moved in an unexpected way. The Lord confronted Moses, fierce and unrelenting, as though to strike him down. For though chosen, Moses had neglected the covenant sign given to Abraham and his descendants. Death's shadow hovered over the tent. But Zipporah understood. With urgent hands, she took a flint knife and circumcised their son. Touching Moses' feet with the blood, she cried, Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me. In that moment, the Lord relented. The judgment passed. Moses lived. It was a stark reminder. The deliverer of Israel could not stand apart from the covenant of Israel. Before confronting Pharaoh, he himself had to be made right before God. After the night of reckoning, Moses rose with renewed resolve. The weight of covenant now marked his household, and the path to Egypt stretched before him like destiny itself. But he would not walk it alone. The Lord spoke to Aaron in Egypt, Go into the wilderness to meet your brother Moses. Aaron obeyed. On the slopes of God's mountain, the two brothers met for the first time in decades. Their embrace was more than family reunion. It was prophecy fulfilled. There, in the shadow of Sinai, Moses told Aaron everything the Lord had spoken. The call from the burning bush, the signs of power, the command to confront Pharaoh. Aaron listened, his faith rising with each word. Together they journeyed into Egypt, gathering the elders of Israel. Before the people, Aaron spoke the words the Lord had given. Moses performed the signs: the staff that became a serpent, the hand that turned white as snow, the water that flowed red like blood. The elders trembled, yet their hearts turned toward hope. The God of their fathers had not forgotten them. When they heard that the Lord had seen their misery and was concerned for them, they bowed down and worshipped. Then came the moment. Moses and Aaron walked into Pharaoh's court. Marble gleamed. Guards stood like statues. Golden idols watched from every pillar. Aaron's voice rang out with authority. "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says: Let my people go, so that they may hold a festival to me in the wilderness." The court fell silent. Pharaoh's eyes narrowed. His lips curled with scorn. "Who is the Lord, that I should obey him and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go." Instead of freedom, Pharaoh tightened the chains. "Make the work harder," he commanded. "Let the Hebrews gather their own straw, but require the same number of bricks." The whips cracked louder. The cries of Israel rose higher. Their backs bent lower. Their strength drained to dust. Even their voices turned against Moses. "You have made us obnoxious to Pharaoh. You have put a sword in his hand to kill us." Moses fell before the Lord in anguish, but God's reply thundered with certainty. "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my mighty hand, he will let them go. With my outstretched arm, he will drive them out of his land." And so Moses and Aaron went before Pharaoh again. The Lord had said, "When Pharaoh asks for a miracle, say to Aaron, 'Take your staff and throw it down before him.'" Pharaoh reclined on his throne, eyes sharp with disdain. "Show me the power of your God." Aaron stepped forward, staff in hand. His fingers tightened around the wood. With one swift motion he cast it to the marble floor. The staff struck stone and writhed. Before their eyes it twisted, coiling, scales glistening, hissing as it lifted its head, a living serpent slithering across Pharaoh's court. Gasps echoed. Servants stumbled back in fear. But Pharaoh only smirked. He clapped his hands, and magicians in fine linen stepped forward, wise men of Egypt, masters of enchantments. With practiced pride, they too threw down their staffs. In the sight of all, their rods writhed and twisted, becoming serpents slithering across the ground. The court erupted with murmurs. Pharaoh's smile grew wider. Then silence. Aaron's serpent struck. It lunged with fangs bared and devoured one serpent, then another, then all. One by one, the magician's serpents vanished into its jaws until only Aaron's serpent remained, coiled in dominance on Pharaoh's floor. The meaning was crystal clear. The power of Israel's God was not equal to Egypt's gods. It was greater, consuming them all. Yet Pharaoh's heart remained unmoved. His face hardened like stone. He rose from his throne, cloak flowing, and with a cold wave of his hand dismissed them. The Hebrews will not go free. And so Pharaoh turned from the warning, and Egypt turned toward judgment. Thus began a confrontation unlike any the world had ever witnessed. Not man against man, not nation against nation, but heaven against the throne of Egypt. Then the signs became judgments. The Nile turned to blood. The Nile, Egypt's lifeline. Its waters glistened in the morning sun, feeding the fields, carrying the boats, sustaining the gods they worshipped. But now the Nile would bear witness. The Lord spoke to Moses. "Go to Pharaoh in the morning as he goes out to the river. Take the staff that was turned into a serpent and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt." At dawn, Pharaoh descended to the riverbank, adorned in gold, his priests trailing incense, the Nile reflecting his power. Moses and Aaron stepped forward. Aaron lifted the staff. His voice rang out. "This is what the Lord says. By this you will know that I am the Lord. With the staff in my hand, I will strike the water of the Nile, and it will be changed into blood." Aaron struck the water. At once the river shuddered. Its clear surface darkened, thickened, became red as blood. The stench rose. Fish gasped and floated lifeless, bellies up. The priests stumbled back, covering their faces. The mighty Nile had become a river of death. Pharaoh's magicians hurried forward. With their secret arts, they too turned water to blood. Pharaoh watched, unmoved, his lips curved in cold defiance, and he turned back to his palace, heart unyielding. 7 days the water remained blood, in jars, in wooden buckets, in streams and canals. Egypt groaned with thirst, but Pharaoh would not bow. The plague of frogs. The Lord spoke again. "Go to Pharaoh and say, 'This is what the Lord says. Let my people go so that they may worship me. If you refuse, I will plague your whole country with frogs.'" Pharaoh stood in his palace, the air heavy with incense. Suddenly, the stillness of Egypt broke. From the riverbanks they came, first a ripple, then a flood. Frogs by the hundreds, by the thousands, crawling, leaping, swarming. They poured into houses, filling the kitchens, leaping into ovens, clambering over kneading bowls. Noblemen awoke in their chambers shrieking as frogs covered their beds. Poor and rich alike waded through living carpets of slime. The very temples of Egypt's gods were overrun, their idols mocked by creatures they could not drive away. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron in panic. "Pray to the Lord to take the frogs away from me and my people, and I will let your people go to offer sacrifices to the Lord." Moses answered, "I leave to you the honor of setting the time for me to pray for you, and your officials and your people, that you may know there is no one like the Lord our God." Pharaoh declared, "Tomorrow." So Moses cried out to the Lord, and the frogs died. They were piled in heaps, mountains of decay. The stench spread across Egypt like a curse. But when Pharaoh saw relief had come, his heart hardened once more. He would not let Israel go. The plague of gnats. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust of the ground." Aaron obeyed. He struck the earth and the dust rose, shimmering in the sun, but it did not fall back as dust. It swirled, alive, tiny wings, endless swarms. The dust became gnats, crawling, biting, filling eyes, noses, ears. Men clawed at their skin. Animals thrashed. Egypt itself writhed under a living storm. The magicians tried their secret arts, but this time they could not. They whispered to Pharaoh, trembling, "This is the finger of God." Yet Pharaoh's heart remained hard. The plague of flies. Again the Lord spoke, "If you do not let my people go, I will send swarms of flies on you, your officials, your people, and your houses." The air darkened. A low hum thickened into a roar. Flies, black, endless, ravenous, poured into every corner of Egypt. Palaces swarmed, market stalls drowned. The stench of death and filth rose in waves. Egypt was ruined by the flies. But in the land of Goshen, where Israel dwelt, not a single fly stirred. There the air was still, the ground clean. The Lord had drawn a line between his people and Egypt. Pharaoh relented half-heartedly. "Sacrifice to your God here in the land," he offered. But Moses answered, "That would not be right. We must go a 3-day journey into the wilderness." Reluctantly, Pharaoh agreed. But when the flies were gone, he hardened his heart again. The plague on livestock. "Let my people go so that they may worship me," the Lord commanded. "If you refuse, the hand of the Lord will bring a terrible plague on your livestock, on horses, donkeys, camels, cattle, sheep, and goats." The next morning, silence fell on the fields. But it was not peace. Across Egypt, the lowing of cattle ceased. Horses collapsed. Sheep lay still. The wealth of Egypt, its herds and beasts of burden, perished in a single day. Yet in Goshen, Israel's flocks grazed unharmed. Pharaoh sent men to investigate. When the report came back true, his heart hardened still. The plague of boils. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, "Take handfuls of soot from a furnace and let Moses toss it into the air in Pharaoh's presence." They did so. The soot rose, a black cloud drifting on the wind. Where it fell, blisters erupted. Painful boils broke out on man and beast alike. The magicians came to stand before Moses, but they could not. Their own bodies burned with sores. They fell back, groaning, broken. Pharaoh watched, his own skin burning, yet his heart, like stone, refused to yield. The plague of hail. The Lord spoke again. "Let my people go so that they may worship me. For this time I will send the full force of my plagues against you, so you may know there is no one like me in all the earth." Pharaoh scoffed, but the sky was already shifting. Dark clouds gathered, unnatural, thick, boiling. Then it began. Hail. Great stones of ice rained from the sky. Thunder roared. Lightning flashed across the land in fire. The storm devoured fields, shattered trees, crushed beasts beneath its fury. Egypt had never seen such a storm since it became a nation. But in Goshen, no hail fell. The sky was calm. Terrified, Pharaoh summoned Moses. "Pray to the Lord, for we have had enough thunder and hail. I will let you go." Moses prayed. The storm ceased. Yet when the thunder faded, Pharaoh's heart hardened again. The plague of locusts. The Lord warned, "If you refuse, I will bring locusts into your country tomorrow. They will cover the face of the ground until it cannot be seen." And so it came. An east wind blew all night. At dawn they arrived, locusts blackening the sky, blotting out the sun. They descended like a living tide. Fields already bruised by hail were stripped bare. No green thing remained. The land groaned under the weight of devouring wings. Pharaoh, desperate, cried, "I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Forgive my sin once more, and pray that this death be taken from me," Moses prayed. A west wind rose and carried the locusts into the sea. But once more, Pharaoh's heart hardened. The plague of darkness. The Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand toward the sky so that darkness spreads over Egypt, darkness that can be felt." Moses lifted his hand, and the light died. For 3 days, Egypt was swallowed in a darkness thick as tar. Men stumbled in their houses. Lamps gave no flame. Pharaoh's palaces, temples, streets, all sunk into a choking night. Yet in Goshen, light remained. The homes of Israel glowed with warmth and fire. Pharaoh summoned Moses, voice trembling in the dark. "Go, worship the Lord. Take your women and children, but leave your flocks and herds behind." Moses replied firmly, "You must allow us to have sacrifices. Not a hoof will be left behind." Enraged, Pharaoh's voice thundered in the void. "Get out of my sight. The day you see my face again, you will die." Moses answered, "Just as you say, I will never appear before you again." The throne of Pharaoh stood proud, but it trembled before the hand of the Almighty. Egypt's gods had been silenced. Its river turned to blood, its fields stripped bare, its skies darkened. Yet still, Pharaoh's heart would not yield. But in Goshen, the people of God had light. The covenant was not forgotten. The cries of years had reached heaven's throne, and the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had come down to deliver. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, "I will bring one more plague upon Pharaoh and Egypt. After this he will drive you out completely." Moses raised his voice in Pharaoh's court one final time. "This is what the Lord says. At midnight, every firstborn son in Egypt will die. From Pharaoh's own son who sits on the throne to the firstborn of the slave girl, even the firstborn of the cattle. But among the people of Israel, not even a dog will bark. Then you will know the Lord makes a difference between Egypt and Israel." Pharaoh's face hardened. His eyes burned with fury. He refused to bow. And Moses left his presence with fire in his spirit. The final plague was coming. That night, God gave his people sacred instructions. Each family was to take a lamb, perfect, without blemish. They were to kill the lamb at twilight and place its blood on the sides and top of their door frames. God declared, "When I see the blood, I will pass over you. No plague will touch you when I strike Egypt." The people were to eat the lamb quickly, with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They were to eat dressed for travel, belts around their waists, sandals on their feet, staffs in their hands. For this was the Lord's Passover. The Israelites obeyed exactly as the Lord commanded Moses. That night, the blood on their doors marked them safe. Inside their homes, families huddled together, whispering prayers, waiting for midnight to come. Midnight came. The city of Egypt lay in silence. Suddenly, a cry rose in the darkness, a cry unlike any other. The Lord had struck down the firstborn of Egypt. From the palace of Pharaoh to the house of the prisoner, from the richest noble to the poorest servant, no home was spared. Even the firstborn of the cattle lay dead in the fields. Egypt shook with wailing. Fathers and mothers wept bitterly, holding lifeless children in their arms. The sound of grief filled the night, echoing through every street, every alley, every corner of the empire. But in the homes of Israel, not one child was harmed. The blood of the Lamb marked them safe. God had kept his promise. In the middle of the night, Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron. His voice was broken with sorrow as he cried, "Up! Leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go worship the Lord as you have asked. Take your flocks and herds and be gone, and bless me also." The Egyptians urged the Israelites to hurry. "Leave at once," they pleaded, "or we will all die." So the people gathered their families, their flocks, their belongings. They carried their kneading bowls with dough that had no yeast. On their shoulders they carried bundles wrapped in cloth. From their Egyptian neighbors they received silver, gold, and clothing, gifts pressed upon them as they departed. That very night, the children of Israel, about 600,000 men plus women and children, marched out of Egypt. After 430 years of slavery, they were free, and God himself led them. When Pharaoh at last let the people go, God did not lead them by the road of the Philistines, though it was the nearest path. For the Lord said, "Lest the people lose heart when they face war and turn back to Egypt." So the Lord in wisdom led his people by another way, through the wilderness toward the sea. And Moses, mindful of the promise, carried with him the bones of Joseph. For Joseph had bound the sons of Israel with an oath, saying, "Surely God will visit you, and you shall carry my bones with you from this place." Then the Lord himself went before them, by day as a mighty pillar of cloud guiding their steps through the barren land, and by night as a blazing pillar of fire casting light upon their path. And the presence of the Lord never departed from before his people. When word reached Pharaoh that Israel had truly fled, his heart and the hearts of his servants turned to regret. They said, "What have we done? Letting Israel go, losing their service." Pharaoh summoned his might. He harnessed his royal chariot, summoned 600 of the finest chariots, and with them every war chariot of Egypt, each commanded by officers of war. The dust of Egypt's fury rose into the sky as the army thundered forward. They overtook the people of Israel who were encamped by the sea, hemmed in near Pi-hahiroth, across from Baal-zephon. When Israel lifted their eyes, terror seized them. Pharaoh's army was upon them. Their cries rose up to heaven, and they turned bitterly against Moses. "Was it because Egypt had no graves that you brought us to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us? It would have been better to serve the Egyptians than to perish here." But Moses stood tall among them and declared, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and behold the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord himself will fight for you. You need only be still." Then the Lord spoke to Moses, "Why do you cry to me? Lift up your staff, stretch out your hand over the sea, and divide it, so my people may go through on dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall pursue. But in their pursuit I will gain glory over Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. Then all Egypt shall know that I am the Lord." Then the angel of God who had gone before Israel moved behind them. The pillar of cloud shifted, standing between the camp of Israel and the camp of Egypt. Darkness on one side, radiant light on the other. All night long, the two camps did not come near each other. Moses lifted his staff and stretched his hand over the sea. At once the Lord sent a fierce east wind that blew all night, driving back the waters. The sea split open, and dry ground appeared, with towering walls of water to the right and to the left. And the children of Israel stepped into the path of deliverance, walking where no man had ever walked, through the heart of the sea on dry land. But Pharaoh's army pursued them. Chariots and horsemen surged into the divided sea after Israel. In the final watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud upon the Egyptians and threw them into confusion. Their wheels jammed, their chariots dragged heavy. Panic seized them. They cried out, "Flee! The Lord fights for Israel against us." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea that the waters may return upon the Egyptians." Moses stretched out his hand. The sea rushed back into place at daybreak. Pharaoh's army fled into the waters, but the Lord swept them into the depths. The waves swallowed the chariots, the horsemen, the entire host that had followed Israel into the sea. Not one survived. But the children of Israel walked safely upon dry ground, with the waters as a wall on their right and on their left. That day the Lord saved Israel from the hand of Egypt. The sun rose over the Red Sea, shining on the waves that had just swallowed Pharaoh's army. The Israelites stood on the far shore, safe at last. Behind them, the waters were calm again, as if nothing had ever happened. For a moment, the people were silent, looking back at the sea. Then joy burst out of their hearts. Their God had done what no power on earth could do. He had saved them with his mighty hand. Moses lifted his voice in song, and the people joined him. Their voices rose together like thunder and like the rushing of many waters. "I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea." The women took up tambourines, led by Miriam, the sister of Moses. They danced with joy, singing, "Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea." It was not just a song. It was the sound of freedom. The chains of slavery in Egypt were broken forever. The people of Israel were no longer Pharaoh's slaves. They were God's people, rescued and chosen. That day on the shore of the Red Sea, the Israelites learned that their God is a warrior, mighty to save and worthy of all their praise. After the great victory at the Red Sea, Moses led Israel into the wilderness of Shur. For 3 long days they pressed forward beneath the relentless desert sun, but no water could be found. At last they came to a place with a spring. Yet when they tasted the water, it was bitter, undrinkable. So the place was called Marah. Frustration boiled over. The people grumbled against Moses. "What shall we drink?" Moses cried out to the Lord, and God answered. He showed Moses a piece of wood. When it was thrown into the waters, the bitter stream became sweet. Here the Lord laid before his people both a promise and a test. He declared, "If you listen carefully to my voice, do what is right in my sight, give ear to my commandments, and keep all my statutes, I will not bring upon you the diseases that fell on the Egyptians. For I am the Lord, your healer." From Marah they journeyed on to Elim, and then into the wilderness of Sin. It was the 15th day of the second month since leaving Egypt. There hunger began to gnaw at the people, and once more they raised their voices in complaint against Moses and Aaron. "If only we had died in Egypt," they said bitterly. "There we sat by pots of meat and ate bread to the full. But you have brought us into this wilderness to starve this entire assembly." The Lord responded with mercy. "Behold, I will rain down bread from heaven for you. Each day the people are to gather what they need. In this way I will test them to see whether they will walk in my law. On the 6th day, they are to gather twice as much so they may rest on the Sabbath." That evening, quail descended and covered the camp. The next morning, when the dew lifted, the ground glistened with a fine flake-like substance, something unlike anything they had ever seen. Puzzled, they asked one another, "What is it?" In Hebrew, manna. Moses answered, "It is the bread the Lord has given you to eat." Day after day they gathered, each one as much as he needed. On the 6th day they gathered double, and on the 7th day they rested, just as the Lord had commanded. The bread was white like coriander seed, and tasted like wafers made with honey. From the wilderness of sin, the Israelites continued their journey, moving from place to place as the Lord directed until they came to Rephidim. But there was no water there for the people to drink. Once again, desperation turned to quarreling. They demanded of Moses, "Give us water to drink." Moses answered, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the cries of thirst grew louder. Fear gripped the people, and in their anger they accused Moses. "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" Overwhelmed, Moses turned to the Lord. "What am I to do with this people? They are almost ready to stone me." The Lord replied, "Go before the people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel and the staff with which you struck the Nile. Behold, I will stand before you on the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock and water will flow out of it so the people may drink." Moses did exactly as the Lord commanded in the sight of the elders. Water gushed from the rock and the people drank their fill. That place was named Massah, testing, and Meribah, quarreling, because there the Israelites tested the Lord by asking, "Is the Lord among us or not?" While the people were still encamped at Rephidim, a new threat arose. The Amalekites came out to wage war against Israel. Moses said to Joshua, "Choose some men and go out to fight Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand." Joshua obeyed, leading the warriors into battle while Moses, Aaron, and Hur climbed the hill overlooking the field. As long as Moses lifted his hand high, Israel prevailed. But whenever he lowered it, the Amalekites gained the upper hand. Hour after hour the struggle raged, and Moses' arms grew heavy. Seeing his weariness, Aaron and Hur placed a stone beneath him so he could sit. Then they each took a side, holding his hands steady until sunset. With his hands upheld, Israel pressed forward until Joshua and his men struck down Amalek and his people with the sword. After the victory, the Lord spoke to Moses, "Write this as a memorial in a book and recite it in the hearing of Joshua. I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven." In gratitude, Moses built an altar and named it, "The Lord is my banner." And he declared, "A hand upon the throne of the Lord will be at war with Amalek from generation to generation." On the 3rd new moon, after the people of Israel had gone out of Egypt, they came into the wilderness of Sinai. They set out from Rephidim and came to the wilderness of Sinai. And there Israel camped before the mountain. Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him out of the mountain, saying, "Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob and tell the people of Israel, You yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession among all peoples, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." Moses came and called the elders of the people and set before them all these words that the Lord had commanded him. All the people answered together, "All that the Lord has spoken, we will do." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Behold, I will come to you in a dense cloud so that the people may hear when I speak with you and always put their trust in you. Go, consecrate them today and tomorrow. Wash their garments. Be ready by the third day." 3 days of preparation followed. The camp buzzed with nervous awe. Clothes were washed, boundaries were set. No man or beast was to touch the mountain, for whoever touched it would surely die. On the morning of the third day, thunder cracked across the sky. Lightning split the heavens. A thick cloud descended upon the mountain, and a trumpet blast echoed. Moses led the people out to meet God, and they stood at the foot of Sinai. The mountain was wrapped in smoke, for the Lord descended in fire. The smoke billowed upward like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. Moses spoke, and God answered him with thunder. Then the Lord called Moses to the top of the mountain, and he went up. And there in fire and cloud the Almighty spoke, giving the 10 Commandments. "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. 1. You shall have no other gods before me. 2. You shall not make for yourself an idol in the form of anything in heaven above, on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord, your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. 3. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. 4. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work. You, your sons or daughters, your servants, your animals, or the foreigner within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but he rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath and made it holy. 5. Honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. 6. You shall not murder. 7. You shall not commit adultery. 8. You shall not steal. 9. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. 10. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, his servants, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. The thunder roared. The mountain smoked. The trumpet still blared. The people trembled and drew back in terror. "Speak to us yourself, and we will listen," they begged Moses. "But do not let God speak to us, or we will die." But Moses answered them, "Do not be afraid. God has come to test you so that the fear of him may keep you from sinning." While they stood afar, Moses alone entered the thick darkness where God was. And from the mountain of fire the Lord spoke, not only with signs and wonders, but with words. Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all his laws, not only for worship, but for everyday life. Laws of justice, mercy, and righteousness. If someone steals, they must repay. If harm is done, justice must prevail. If a stranger lives among you, you must not oppress him, for you were once strangers in Egypt. Widows and orphans must never be mistreated, for their cry will reach the throne of heaven, and the Lord himself will avenge them. Every 7th year the land was to rest, and debts were to be released. A rhythm of mercy written into the life of a nation. 3 times a year all men were to appear before the Lord in the appointed feasts, to remember, to rejoice, and to honor their God. Even in matters of judgment, the command was clear. Do not pervert justice. Do not accept a bribe. Do not oppress the foreigner. Instead, love your neighbor as yourself. These laws were not given as chains to burden Israel, but as light to shape a holy people who would reflect the character of their God before the nations. Early the next morning, Moses built an altar at the foot of the mountain, 12 stone pillars for the 12 tribes of Israel. Young men brought offerings, and bulls were sacrificed as fellowship with God. Moses took half the blood and sprinkled it on the altar. Then he read the book of the covenant to the people, and they answered, "We will do everything the Lord has said. We will obey." Then Moses took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, "This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words." Then Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel went up, and they saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a pavement made of lapis lazuli, as bright blue as the sky itself. But God did not raise his hand against these leaders of Israel. They saw God, and they ate and drank. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and commands I have written for their instruction." So Moses set out with Joshua, his assistant, and Moses went up on the mountain of God. To the elders he said, "Wait here for us until we come back to you. Aaron and Hur are with you, and anyone involved in a dispute can go to them." When Moses went up on the mountain, the cloud covered it. The glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai, and for 6 days the cloud covered the mountain. On the 7th day, the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. To the Israelites, the glory of the Lord looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Then Moses entered the cloud as he went on up the mountain. For 40 days and 40 nights, Moses remained in the consuming fire of God's presence, and the Lord spoke to him, giving patterns of heaven for a dwelling on earth. "Have them make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell among them. Make this tabernacle and all its furnishings exactly like the pattern I will show you." Upon the mountain, the Lord revealed his dwelling place on earth. He showed Moses the Ark of the Covenant, a chest of acacia wood overlaid with pure gold, with 2 cherubim of glory overshadowing the mercy seat. And the Lord declared, "There between the cherubim above the atonement cover, I will meet with you." He gave designs for the golden lampstand with its 7 lamps of fire, the table of bread, a perpetual offering before the Lord, the altar of incense rising with fragrant smoke, the great bronze altar where sacrifice would be made. He gave garments for Aaron and his sons, garments of glory and beauty, the breastplate set with 12 stones, the ephod woven with gold, the robe and the sacred turban, anointed with oil, consecrated forever. "They shall serve me as priests, and I will dwell among the Israelites and be their God. They will know that I am the Lord who brought them out of Egypt so that I might dwell among them." When he had finished speaking with Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him the 2 tablets of the covenant law, tablets of stone inscribed by the very finger of God. But even as Moses beheld the glory of God on the mountain, at the foot of Sinai the people grew restless. Days turned into weeks. The thunder, the cloud, the fire, it seemed endless. And in their waiting, doubt turned to rebellion. They gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." Pressed by the people's demands, Aaron yielded. He said, "Take off the gold earrings your wives, your sons, and daughters are wearing and bring them to me." So they stripped themselves of their ornaments, and Aaron fashioned the gold with a tool, shaping it into an idol cast in the form of a calf. Then they declared, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." Aaron built an altar in front of the calf and announced, "Tomorrow there will be a festival to the Lord." So the next day the people rose early, sacrificed burnt offerings, brought fellowship offerings, and sat down to eat and drink. Then they rose up in revel. On the mountain the Lord said to Moses, "Go down at once, because your people, whom you brought up out of Egypt, have become corrupt. They have been quick to turn away from what I commanded them, and have made themselves an idol cast in the shape of a calf. They are bowing down to it and sacrificing to it, saying, 'These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt.'" The Lord continued, "I have seen this people, and they are a stiff-necked people. Now leave me alone so that my anger may burn against them and that I may destroy them. Then I will make you into a great nation." But Moses pleaded with the Lord his God, "Why should your anger burn against your people whom you brought out of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say it was with evil intent that he brought them out, to kill them in the mountains? Turn from your fierce anger, relent, and do not bring disaster on your people. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, to whom you swore by your own self." Then the Lord relented and did not bring on his people the disaster he had threatened. Moses turned and went down the mountain with the 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hands, tablets inscribed on both sides, written by the very finger of God. But when he approached the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, Moses' anger burned. He threw the tablets out of his hands, breaking them to pieces at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf the people had made and burned it in the fire, ground it to powder, scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. Moses turned to Aaron. "What did these people do to you that you led them into such great sin?" Aaron replied weakly, "Do not be angry, my lord. You know how prone these people are to evil. They gave me the gold, and I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf." Moses saw that the people were running wild and that Aaron had let them get out of control. So he stood at the entrance to the camp and shouted, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." The sons of Levi rallied to him. Then Moses said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Each man strap a sword to his side. Go back and forth through the camp from one end to the other, each killing his brother and friend and neighbor." That day, about 3,000 of the people fell. The camp lay in silence after judgment. The next day Moses said to the people, "You have committed a great sin. But now I will go up to the Lord. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sin." He returned to the Lord and pleaded, "Oh, what a great sin these people have committed. They have made themselves gods of gold. But now, please forgive their sin. But if not, then blot me out of the book you have written." The Lord replied, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot out of my book. Now go, lead the people to the place I spoke of, and my angel will go before you. But when the time comes for me to punish, I will punish them for their sin." The covenant had been broken, the tablets shattered. Yet the Lord's plan for his people would not end here. "Go up to the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I will send an angel before you, but I will not go with you because you are a stiff-necked people and I might destroy you on the way." When the people heard these distressing words, they mourned. They stripped off their ornaments, a sign of their shame. Moses pitched a tent outside the camp. There the Lord would speak with him face to face as a man speaks with his friend. The pillar of cloud would descend and the people would rise and worship at their own tents, watching in awe. But Moses was not satisfied. He pleaded with the Lord, "You have been telling me, 'Lead these people,' but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. If you are pleased with me, teach me your ways, so I may know you and continue to find favor with you. Remember that this nation is your people." The Lord replied, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." But Moses pressed further, "If your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. For how will anyone know that you are pleased with me and with your people unless you go with us? What else will distinguish me and your people from all the other nations on the face of the earth? I will do the very thing you have asked because I am pleased with you and I know you by name." Then Moses asked with trembling boldness, "Now show me your glory. I will cause all my goodness to pass in front of you, and I will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence. But you cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live." There is a place near me where you may stand on a rock. When my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft in the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand, and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen." So the servant of God was pressed into the cleft of the rock. The mountain trembled. The heavens fell silent. Then the glory of the Lord passed by, not in full, but in a glimpse of unspeakable majesty. A brilliance beyond the sun, a fire more ancient than creation. The hand of the Almighty shielded his servant until only the afterglow remained. And Moses beheld the back of the Lord. The glory of the Lord had passed, and Moses was left trembling, his soul marked forever by the vision of the living God. After the glory of the Lord passed before his servant, Moses remained upon the mountain, trembling in holy fear. The God of Israel, whose face no man may see and live, had chosen to reveal his goodness and his name. But Israel had sinned. The first tablets of the covenant lay shattered at the foot of Sinai, broken as the people broke faith with their God. Yet the Lord, full of mercy and compassion, was not finished with his people. From the fire of his presence came a command: "Chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I will write on them the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. Be ready in the morning and come up Mount Sinai. No one is to come with you." So Moses rose early, carrying the new tablets. Then the Lord came down in the cloud, stood with him there, and proclaimed his name: the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation. Moses bowed to the ground at once and worshipped. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, O Lord, then let the Lord go with us. Although this is a stiff-necked people, forgive our wickedness and our sin, and take us as your inheritance." The Lord replied, "I am making a covenant with you. Before all your people I will do wonders never before done in any nation in all the world." Moses was with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights without eating bread or drinking water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant in his hands, his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. The people were afraid to come near him. But Moses called to them, and he gave them all the commands the Lord had spoken with him on the mountain. From then on, whenever he spoke with the Lord, his face would shine with glory. The smoke still clung to the mountain. The stones still bore the fire's glow. Israel had seen the Lord's glory, heard his thunder, felt the trembling ground. But Sinai was only the beginning. Then Moses gathered the whole congregation of Israel and spoke the word of the Lord. "These are the things the Lord has commanded. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th shall be holy, a Sabbath of rest unto the Lord. And let all who are willing bring an offering, that a dwelling may be built for the Lord, that his presence may dwell among us." From the least to the greatest, the people gave, not from duty nor compulsion, but from hearts willing and stirred by the Spirit of God. For the Lord who had thundered from Sinai would now dwell in the midst of his people. So much was brought that Moses had to command them to stop. No more offerings are needed. The Lord had chosen Bezalel, filled with the Spirit of God with wisdom and skill. Beside him was Oholiab, and every craftsman whose heart was stirred to work. Together they shaped the dwelling of God, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Bezalel made the Ark of the Covenant, acacia wood overlaid with pure gold, crowned with the mercy seat and overshadowed by cherubim. He made the table of the bread of the presence with vessels of gold. He hammered out the golden lampstand, its branches like almond blossoms, shining with 7 lamps. He built the altar of incense where fragrant smoke would rise to the heavens. In the courtyard, he cast the great bronze altar for sacrifices and the bronze basin for washing. Curtains of blue, purple, and scarlet linen surrounded the dwelling, with posts and bases of silver and bronze. When all was finished, Moses set up the tabernacle. He placed the ark inside, hung the shielding curtain, arranged the bread, lit the lamps, and burned incense. Then he consecrated it all with holy anointing oil. Every piece, every thread, every vessel was completed, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. And when the work was finished, Moses blessed the people. Then the cloud descended, covering the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses could not enter because the glory was so great. From then on, whenever the cloud lifted, Israel set out. But if the cloud did not lift, they stayed until it did. By day the cloud of the Lord was over the tabernacle, and by night fire was in the cloud, visible to all Israel in every stage of their journey. Then the Lord commanded Moses to consecrate Aaron and his sons as priests. Moses washed them with water, clothed them in sacred garments, and anointed them with oil. Sacrifices were offered, a bull for sin, rams for consecration, and bread without yeast. For 7 days the ritual was repeated, and on the 8th day Aaron lifted his hands and blessed the people. Fire came out from the presence of the Lord and consumed the offering on the altar. When all the people saw it, they shouted for joy and fell face down. The covenant had been renewed. The Lord had shown mercy. His presence would dwell among his people. But Israel's journey was far from over, and the wilderness would test them again. From Sinai, the people of Israel set out, a nation of hundreds of thousands, led by the pillar of cloud by day and the fire by night. But the wilderness soon revealed the hardness of their hearts. They grumbled for food, for water, for meat, and the Lord gave them manna from heaven, bread like coriander seed, white and sweet. Yet still they complained. At Taberah their complaints rose against the Lord, and fire burned at the edge of the camp. Panic spread as flames consumed the outskirts until Moses prayed and the fire died down. Yet the warning was soon forgotten. At Kibroth Hattaavah, the complaints grew louder. The rabble among them wailed, "If only we had meat to eat! We remember the fish in Egypt, the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now we have nothing but this manna." Moses, overwhelmed, cried out to God, "Why have you brought this burden upon me? I cannot carry all these people alone." And the Lord answered. 70 elders were appointed, and the Spirit rested on them so they could share the load. Then the Lord sent quail. A wind drove them from the sea until the ground was covered. The people gathered greedily day and night, filling their tents with meat. But as they ate, still chewing, the anger of the Lord burned against them. A plague struck, and many fell dead. That place was named Kibroth Hattaavah, the graves of craving. Even within Moses' own family, opposition arose. Miriam and Aaron spoke against him, questioning, "Has the Lord spoken only through Moses? Hasn't he also spoken through us?" The Lord heard and summoned them to the tent of meeting. The cloud descended, and the voice of God thundered. "Listen to my words. When I speak through a prophet, I make myself known in visions and dreams. But this is not so with my servant Moses. With him I speak face to face. Why then were you not afraid to speak against him?" When the cloud lifted, Miriam's skin was leprous, white as snow. Aaron pleaded, "Please, my Lord, do not hold against us the sin we have so foolishly committed." And Moses cried out, "O God, please heal her." The Lord showed mercy, yet Miriam was shut out of the camp for 7 days before being restored. Only then did the people move on. From Kadesh Barnea, at the edge of the wilderness, the Lord commanded Moses to send men, one from each tribe, to explore the land of promise. For 40 days they journeyed through valleys and over hills, from the Negev to the heights of Hebron, where the Anakim, men of great stature, dwelt. They saw a land rich and abundant, flowing with milk and honey, its fields heavy with grain, its vineyards thick with clusters of grapes so large that 2 men carried a single branch between them. But the sons of Anak watched, giants among men, their towering forms outlined against the ridges of Hebron. Their armor gleamed like bronze in the sun. Their voices rumbled across the valleys like distant thunder. Each step they took left marks in the dust like the print of beasts, and the hearts of the spies trembled within them. They whispered among themselves, "These are not men as we are men. Who can stand before them?" When they returned to the camp, all Israel gathered to hear their report. They said, "The land to which you sent us truly flows with milk and honey. Here is its fruit." But 10 of the spies added, their voices trembling with fear, "The people who live there are powerful, and their cities are fortified and very large. We saw the descendants of the giants there. We cannot attack these people. They are stronger than we are." Then the hearts of the people melted. Whispers of doubt spread through the camp like fire through dry grass. Despair took root, and soon fear gave birth to rebellion. But Caleb of the tribe of Judah silenced the crowd before Moses and said, "We should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it." And Joshua son of Nun stood beside him, declaring, "The Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord fights for Israel." Yet the people would not listen. That night they lifted up their voices and wept aloud. They murmured against Moses and Aaron, saying, "If only we had died in Egypt or in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to fall by the sword? Let us choose a leader and go back to Egypt." Then Moses and Aaron fell face down before the whole assembly. Joshua and Caleb tore their garments in grief, and the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting. The Lord said to Moses, "How long will this people treat me with contempt? How long will they refuse to believe in me despite all the signs I have done among them?" Moses interceded for them, pleading for mercy, and the Lord relented from destroying them. Yet judgment came upon that generation. "As surely as I live, declared the Lord, not one of those who saw my glory and the signs I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, and yet disobeyed me, will see the land I swore to their ancestors. But my servant Caleb and Joshua, son of Nun, who followed me wholeheartedly, will enter it." So Israel was condemned to wander 40 years. 1 year for each day the spies explored the land. Their unbelief had sealed their fate. For 40 years they would wander until their corpses fell unburied in the desert. But rebellion did not cease. Jealousy festered within the camp. Korah from the tribe of Levi, together with Dathan and Abiram of Reuben, stirred up 250 leaders of the community. They confronted Moses and Aaron, their voices bold, their faces hardened. "You have gone too far. The whole community is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is with them. Why then do you set yourselves above the Lord's assembly?" Moses fell face down. He answered them, "Tomorrow the Lord will show who belongs to him, who is holy, and who he will allow to come near. Take censers, you and your followers, and present them before the Lord. The man the Lord chooses will be the Holy One." The next day the rebels assembled at the entrance to the tent of meeting, their censers burning with incense. The glory of the Lord appeared, and his anger was kindled. Moses pleaded for mercy for the whole nation, but the Lord commanded, "Move away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, or you will be swept away because of their sins." The people moved back. Moses declared, "This is how you will know that the Lord has sent me. If these men die a natural death, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the earth opens its mouth and swallows them alive, then you will know that these men have treated the Lord with contempt." The ground beneath their feet split apart. The earth opened wide and swallowed them, their families, their possessions, everything that belonged to them. They went down alive into the grave, and the earth closed over them. terror gripped all Israel as they fled, crying, "The earth is going to swallow us too." And fire came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who had offered incense. The next day the people grumbled, "Again, you have killed the Lord's people." But a plague broke out among them. Moses told Aaron, "Take your censer and make atonement for them quickly." Aaron ran into the midst of the assembly with burning incense, standing between the living and the dead. The plague stopped, but 14,700 had already fallen. The people quarreled again, this time at the waters of Meribah. They cried out, "Why did you bring the Lord's community into this wilderness that we and our livestock should die here? There is no grain, no figs, no vines, no pomegranates, and there is no water to drink." Moses and Aaron fell face down before the Lord, and the glory of the Lord appeared. The Lord said, "Take the staff, and you and your brother Aaron gather the assembly together. Speak to that rock before their eyes, and it will pour out its water." But Moses, worn down by their complaints, grew angry. He said to them, "Listen, you rebels, must we bring you water out of this rock?" Then he struck the rock twice with his staff. Water gushed out, and the community and their livestock drank. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust in me enough to honor me as holy in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this assembly into the land I give them." Moses had disobeyed the Lord's command. In anger, he had struck the rock instead of speaking to it. In pride, he claimed what belonged to God alone. And so, though Moses would see the promised land with his eyes, he would not set foot within it. The people grumbled again on the way around Edom. "Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread, there is no water, and we detest this miserable food." So the Lord sent venomous snakes among them, and many died. The people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned when we spoke against the Lord and against you. Pray that he will take the snakes away from us." So Moses prayed. And the Lord said, "Make a bronze snake and put it on a pole. Anyone who is bitten can look at it and live." Moses made a bronze serpent and lifted it up. And when anyone was bitten and looked at the bronze serpent, they lived. As the years passed, the generation of unbelief fell in the wilderness, and a new generation rose. The Lord gave them victories over Arad the Canaanite, over Sihon king of the Amorites, and Og king of Bashan. And the nations trembled. Even Balak king of Moab called for Balaam to curse Israel. But Balaam could not curse what God had blessed. From his lips came prophecy instead. "How beautiful are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel! A star will rise from Jacob. A scepter will emerge from Israel." And so the long wilderness years drew to their end. Before them stretched the plains of Moab, the Jordan River glimmering beyond. And across the waters, the land promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go up Mount Nebo to the land of Moab opposite Jericho and look upon Canaan, the land I am giving to the children of Israel." Moses climbed the mountain, and there the Lord showed him all the land, from Gilead to Dan, from Naphtali to Ephraim and Manasseh, from Judah to the western sea, the Negev and the valley of Jericho to Zoar. And the Lord said, "This is the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have let you see it with your eyes, but you shall not cross over into it." For at the waters of Meribah, Moses had sinned against the Lord by striking the rock in anger, failing to honor the Lord as holy before the people. Because of this, the Lord had decreed that Moses would lead Israel to the border, but another would take them across. On the plains of Moab, east of the Jordan, Moses gathered the nation once more. 40 years had passed since Egypt. A new generation stood ready to cross. Moses declared, "You are standing here today, all of you in the presence of the Lord your God, to enter into covenant with him so that he may establish you today as his people and that he may be your God." He called heaven and earth as witnesses. This day I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life so that you and your children may live, and that you may love the Lord your God, listen to his voice, and hold fast to him. For the Lord is your life." Then Moses sang a song, a witness for all generations. "I will proclaim the name of the Lord. Oh, praise the greatness of our God. He is the rock. His works are perfect, and all his ways are just. He warned Israel against turning to idols. He testified of God's faithfulness, his mercy, and his justice, a song to be remembered in times of rebellion and repentance. Before his end, Moses blessed the tribes. Let Reuben live and not die. The beloved of the Lord rest secure in him. Blessed be Joseph with the precious gifts of heaven. Blessed are you, Israel. Who is like you, a people saved by the Lord?" Each tribe received a portion of his heart, words of hope for the land they were about to enter. And Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in Moab, as the Lord had said. He buried him in the valley opposite Beth Peor. But to this day, no one knows where his grave is. Moses was 120 years old when he died, yet his eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone. Israel wept for him. 30 days in the plains of Moab. Now Joshua son of Nun was filled with the spirit of wisdom, because Moses had laid his hands on him. So the Israelites listened to him and did what the Lord had commanded Moses. Never again did a prophet rise in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. For no one has ever shown the mighty power or performed the awesome deeds that Moses did in the sight of all Israel. The servant of the Lord had finished his race. The promise now lay before the people, and the story of God's faithfulness was only beginning. As Moses' story draws to a close upon Mount Nebo, we behold not merely the end of a man's journey, but the divine unfolding of God's eternal plan. The man who once trembled before the burning bush now stands in radiant peace, gazing upon the promise fulfilled. From slavery to deliverance, from the Red Sea to Sinai, from rebellion to mercy, his life became a living testament to the faithfulness of God. For though he could not cross into the land of rest, his spirit was anchored in the hope of a better covenant, one that would not be written on stone, but upon the hearts of men. Every step of Israel's wilderness journey mirrors our own pilgrimage through this world. Like them, we wander through deserts of trial, valleys of testing, and mountains of revelation. The tabernacle that once stood in the camp is now a shadow of the greater dwelling, the human heart indwelt by the Spirit of God. Just as the cloud covered the sanctuary by day and the fire by night, so the Holy Spirit now leads, guides, and sanctifies every believer who follows the Lord with a pure heart. Moses was but a foreshadowing, a type of the greater deliverer yet to come. The law came through Moses, but grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. Where Moses struck the rock and failed, Jesus was struck once for all. And from his pierced side flowed rivers of living water. Where the blood of lambs once covered sin, the blood of the Lamb of God now cleanses it completely. Beloved, the journey of Israel teaches us that obedience is better than sacrifice, and faith is greater than fear. Many began the journey with zeal, yet perished in unbelief. But those who trusted in the Lord, Joshua, Caleb, and the faithful, entered into promise. So too today, it is not enough to merely begin with God. We must finish the race with endurance, keeping our hearts steadfast until the end. The wilderness reveals what is hidden within. It strips away pride, tests motives, and purifies faith. Every dry season, every unanswered prayer, every delay in promise, these are the deserts where character is forged. Yet even there, manna falls, water flows, and the presence of God abides. His mercy never fails. He is faithful to complete what he began in you. Through Christ, the veil that separated us from the Holy of Holies has been torn. We no longer stand afar as Israel once did at Sinai, trembling in fear. We have been brought near, washed, sanctified and justified by His blood. The glory that filled the tabernacle now dwells within us. You are the temple of the Holy Spirit. You are a royal priesthood, a chosen generation, called to declare the praises of Him who brought you out of darkness into His marvelous light. As Israel was called to be a light among nations, so the church is called to shine in a world consumed by sin and confusion. This is our hour to stand firm, to be holy in a generation that mocks holiness, to be faithful when others compromise, to be pure when the world celebrates impurity. The Lord still seeks those who will stand in the gap, who will not bow to idols of gold, fame, or pleasure, but who will live for His glory alone. Beloved, the time is short. Just as Moses stood on Mount Nebo and saw the land before him, we too stand at the edge of eternity. The signs of the times are clear. The King is coming soon. Nations rage, kingdoms shake, and the earth groans for redemption. Yet, for those who are washed in the blood of the Lamb, there is no fear, only hope and anticipation. Now is the time to awaken from slumber. Now is the hour to repent and believe. The wilderness journey is ending. The trumpet of God will soon sound. Will you be ready? Will your lamp be filled with oil when the bridegroom appears? The story of Moses has finished. But the story of Jesus continues forever. The same God who parted the sea calls us to part ways with sin. The same God who fed His people with manna calls us to feed daily on His word. The same God who dwelt in fire and cloud now dwells within us through His Spirit. And the same God who brought Israel out of Egypt will bring us into eternal glory if we endure to the end. This is the great lesson of Exodus. Deliverance demands devotion. Redemption requires response. God saves us not to wander aimlessly, but to worship Him in spirit and truth. He redeems us not to remain in Egypt's chains, but to walk in newness of life. Therefore, let us press on in holiness. Let us not love the world, nor the things of the world. Let us fix our hope not on riches, power, or fleeting pleasure, but on the eternal kingdom prepared for those who love Him. Soon the wilderness will end. Soon the trumpet will sound. Soon the Lamb who was slain will return as the Lion of Judah. Every eye will see Him, every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. On that day, the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father, but the wicked will be cast into outer darkness. The line will be drawn as it was in Egypt. The blood will make the difference. Therefore, brothers and sisters, be watchful, be prayerful, be faithful. Walk in the Spirit, live in holiness, stand firm in righteousness, and above all, be ready for the coming of the Lord. For the story of Moses was not only Israel's story, it is our story, and it points to the greater story of Jesus Christ, our deliverer, our Passover lamb, our bread from heaven, our living water, our good shepherd, our coming King. To Him be the glory forever and ever. For those who want to receive the Lord, please repeat after me, Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, I turn away from all my sins and receive You as my Lord and Savior. I surrender my heart into Your hands. Cleanse me, guide me, and fill me with Your mighty Holy Spirit. From this day forward, I will follow You and live for Your glory. In the mighty name of Jesus, Amen. If you prayed this prayer, welcome to the family of God. His love for you is steadfast, and He will never leave you nor forsake you. Now I encourage you to find a local church that preaches holiness, for without holiness, no one will see the Lord. Remember, Jesus will return to rapture those who are holy and righteous. Walk in faith, stay grounded in His Word, and trust that He has a divine purpose for your life. You are a new creation in Christ. Embrace this journey with hope and joy. May we meet in heaven, for the rapture is near. Please subscribe. Thank you.